So in case you didn't see Retro Ups and Downs yesterday, if you are indeed watching Smackdown Ups and Downs right now and you think, wait a minute, Simon Miller looks like he's about to collapse on the floor, looks like something is terribly wrong, well, somebody may have gotten a stomach virus and somebody over the last couple of days may have had no food and only the bare minimum of water. I'm not saying that it's me, but I will let you figure it out. But nothing will stop the finger of power, and also I don't control it. I have to listen to it and understand what's going on right now. And given that we're only a few weeks away from WrestleMania, somebody needs to come up here and somebody needs to give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down when it does come to the latest episode of Smackdown. So we're going to do that right now, and as a small spoiler, I thought it was really fun. Daniel Bryan was out to start the show this week, and the man is just such a glorious troll, because the first thing he said was, do you remember last week when Roman Reigns said he'd rather tap out than die, and then we got to Fastlane and he's still alive, and yeah, I don't know about you, but I saw him tapping out. It's just brilliant, it's just wonderful. He may as well have pulled a face like this and just have gone, I told you so. Bryan really hammered this home too, especially because of that. He should now be the Universal Champion, and the only reason that he's not is because of Edge. Because of course when Roman Reigns was tapping out and Daniel Bryan had the match won, crazy old man Edge decided to get a chair and just thwomp everybody. That's why Daniel felt like he deserves another shot at Roman Reigns, so got a chair and he put it down in the ring and he sat in it until somebody gave him an answer that he wanted. You know this old shtick, wrestlers do it all the time, and also every time they do it, they always seem to get their way. So you think the management would go, right, this is basically a hostage situation, this time we must decline it, otherwise a few months down the line, we're gonna be here again. As ever, we went through a break to make it feel like Daniel Bryan had just been sitting in the ring for ages when Adam Pearce did come out, and I like to think the reason it took him so long is because he was just in the back face palming going, man, these stupid kids. Pearce said Bryan couldn't have a rematch because the referee's decision was final, apart from those handy times when the referee's decision is final, so Bryan came up with a compromise and he said, okay, do Edge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but then let me fight the winner straight after that. And Pearce was like, well, that doesn't sound very fair. We couldn't possibly go down that route, to which Daniel Bryan responded, wait a minute, I had to do that at the Elimination Chamber, and I had to do it back at WrestleMania 30. He ain't wrong. He then also tried to reason that WrestleMania is 2 nights, so why can't we just do one match on night 1 and then on night 2? And while Adam Pearce quite liked the idea, before he could say anything, out came Edge. Now there has been a lot of debate about this new version of Mr. Party Pooper, but all I know is that he comes across like a pissed off Wolverine type character, and I'm all good with that. He accused Bryan of just trying to pick the bones and manipulate his way into a match that he could easily win, and he wasn't here to do much talking, because he just started to whoop Daniel Bryan's ass, and then these two were brawling. I mean, he even gave Bryan a spear and he decimated him with a chair. So at the beginning of the week, I was like, I don't really think Edge turned heel, it's just shades of grey. He's definitely a bad guy. And the rumour with all this is that we've done it is because Edge is starting to look a bit old. But who the flub cares? I never look at him and go, oh man, I want that elderly gentleman off my television. Surely the idea of a grizzled, angry veteran is a really good gimmick and a really good character. I mean, has nobody read The Dark Knight Returns? Have we all forgotten about The Dark Knight Returns? That is perfect for sports entertainment. But this rocked, everybody plays their roles so well, and while I am a little bit confused how WWE can have these grand returns and seemingly have lifelong baby faces, and then they turn heel within a year, well, I have no idea how that keeps happening, but either way up. Amazingly too, do you know who suffered most from this situation? None other than poor Jey Uso. Because we were in the back with Roman Reigns and his crew after this, and Roman was all like, man, somebody get Adam Pearce in here right now, I want to talk to him. And then looked at Jey Uso and said, you need to sort it out, and you need to do it with force if necessary. I just felt so sorry for Jey. Once again, it's all on his shoulders, and if he does succeed, he gets nothing, but if he fails, his head gets smashed into some glass. Poor guy. WWE then did what they always do, and we had a rematch from Fastlane. However, that rematch was Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, so I'm not going to moan. It was kind of the same as their clash on Sunday, which was also no bad thing, and my favourite part is when Shinsuke went for the Kinshasa, and somehow Seth Rollins got out of the way of that, but then Nakamura still locked on an armbar, I was like, that was really good. If we were like voting this in some kind of Olympic sport, I would have given him a 10. He needed something like that as well because it was obvious that he was going to lose once more here because we were going to set up Seth Rollins versus Cesaro at WrestleMania. And that's exactly what happened. Seth Rollins got out of that, he gave him a powerbomb, he followed it up with a curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, there is your winner. Naturally, he jumped on Nakamura straight afterwards, allowing Cesaro to come out and make the save. And again, you would have to have been blind to not see what WWE was trying to do. Cesaro also wanted to give Rollins a giant swing, but Seth had promised to never let him do that again. And somehow, I believe this is right, some trivia for you. This is going to be the first singles match Cesaro has ever had at WrestleMania. And how the hell is that the case? We then had another great segment with Roman Reigns afterwards because Adam Pearce did arrive in his locker room and Roman looked him dead in the face and said, "Look, you tool, I am not working both nights of WrestleMania. You get one title defense, so you better do the right thing." There also seems to be this rhetoric now that nobody would be treated like this, but that's the whole point. Roman Reigns knows he's a star, he knows he's a draw, he knows he's an asset to the company, and he's using that against them to get what he wants. Pearce is aware of this too, so promised he would figure it out later, and as it does happen later, we will talk about it later. Rollins was then also being interviewed in the back, and he was all ragey and mad because of what Cesaro had done. Just as he was saying, "He will never swing me again," Cesaro did appear, and he gave him a massive swing. But this happened in the backstage area, and actually kind of cool. So he did indeed get big swung, which sounds a bit like my rap name if I ever went into the rap game. And it was here when it was also announced, hey, we're gonna do Seth Rollins versus Cesaro at WrestleMania. And sadly this week we didn't get much when it came to Seth Rollins' dress game. Like when he came out for his match, he was wearing like some weird fur coat that looked like Kane had made it. But I like it when he's in a proper suit. So hopefully we can return to it next week. From nowhere, it was then Apollo Crews and the Alpha Academy versus Big E and the Street Profits. I guess it gave us a little glimpse into what we are going to be doing at WrestleMania. But again, enjoyable. At the start of this though, we did have Michael Cole and Corey Graves just go, hey, couldn't you believe it? Big E and Apollo Crews are going to clash again at WrestleMania. And given how this tag match ended, why didn't we just reverse this and say it after the fact? Because I thought we had that weird messy finish at Fastlane because Apollo Crews was going to come out here and go, man, I can't believe I got screwed. I deserve another go around. But nobody really mentioned that, so why the hell would Apollo Crews deserve anything? Big E has now whooped him about 32 times. However, this match should have always taken place at WrestleMania. Fastlane shouldn't have even been a thing, and for that reason alone, I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen. Ford was the guy who was getting his ass beaten for a lot of this, and we had this crazy spot where he essentially tried to slingshot himself back in the ring, but Chad Gable caught him and turned it into a Northern Light suplex. And I just have one question. Why aren't we going to do more with Chad Gable? And also, why the hell did we ever call him Shorty G? It all built to the hot tag with Big E, but yeah, this is where this match got completely weird. Because the finish was Crews catching Big E in the Olympic Slam, the Angle Slam, and getting the victory. And at that point, he could have gone, hey, now I just beat you, I deserve a match at WrestleMania. But we'd already announced it. WWE can just be so weird at times. I mean, that's the easiest shift ever. However, I'm really happy for these two guys, and I think they will smash it at the Showcase of the Immortals. Edge then just proved he is a massive moody Mike because he found Adam Pearce and he was like, all of this sucks, I can't believe you're even thinking about this with Daniel Bryan. Also, I am the Royal Rumble winner. Why is my opportunity kind of being taken away from me? And he doesn't make a good point. Imagine wrestling was like properly legit and you went through 29 other guys to get into the main event at WrestleMania, and then some dude just waltzed up and tried to change it. You would be pretty mad. Pearce said he will make his decision towards the end of the night, and Edge went, well, it better be a good one. And given what Adam Pearce was going to say, I think Edge is going to kill him next week. And then fanboyed out again. I know, grab me and throw me in a hole, but we finally learned that we are going to do Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and that just makes me feel all warm, fuzzy, and happy in my tum-tum. And it was all done on the KO show where Sami Zayn was his guest. And of course, Sami Zayn wouldn't allow Kevin Owens to get a word in because he was apologizing for his mental state because he's put his documentary together and he realizes how much WWE is screwing him over. And then said, Kevin, I know I've asked you 2 times, but I'll ask you 3. Why don't you want to be involved in the thing? Incredibly, after all their social media interactions too, Logan Paul in some form is going to be on SmackDown next week when we have the red carpet premiere for that documentary. My favourite part of all of this is when we then cut back to Kevin Owens and he just said, look man, I don't care about Logan Paul. I don't know why, it made me chuckle. The long and the short of it though is that Kevin Owens does want to fight Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and we'd have to call it how we see it. A lot of the builds for the big show of shows is just one guy going, "Hello, my friend, can we have a match?" And the person going, "That sounds absolutely faboo." And we did it here again, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The matches we are getting are of such high standard, I kind of don't mind it, all things considered. Zayn eventually agreed and it ended with Kevin Owens hitting the stunner, and if you want to know why this is a good idea, just go and Google their history both within WWE and outside of it. It was always meant to happen. Bianca Belair then defeated Natalya. I mean, what? Surely the tag team champions should be more mad at Natty and Tamina given what they did last week. However, this did allow Bianca Belair to finally get a victory, and is good enough. There was still so much shenanigans because halfway through Sasha Banks came out, and I think if we were going to document the wrestlers who are distracted the most, Bianca Belair may be at the top of the list. Like if anything goes on outside of the ring, she's always like, "Oh man, what's going on? I can't believe it." Which is exactly what she did when Sasha Banks arrived. Because she just had to go and ask Sasha, "What the hell are you doing?" And do you know what her reward was? Tamina just booted her right in the face. I was laughing again. So once again, it was proved that no one is meaner than Tamina, and then Sasha Banks went and joined commentary, and much like Edge, there's no debating it anymore. Sasha is absolutely playing the heel in this feud, which actually is kind of for the best, because that laugh makes me want to rip my own head off, which of course is the point. We still had more nonsense, because when Bianca Belair got thrown to the outside, she got in Sasha Banks' face and gave her a slap. Then I was having quite the freak out, so like, oh man, she's gonna get back in the ring and Natalya's going to win. But that didn't happen. Instead, Bianca hit the KOD, she got the 1, 2, 3, and for the first time in a while, she looked like a badass, and she should always be presented as a badass. I mean, a distracted badass, but a badass all the same. This lasted for around about 42 seconds when Sasha Banks snuck in the ring and gave her the backstabber from behind, before of course pointing to the WrestleMania sign because it's March, and if we don't do that, aliens will invade the Earth. Pointing at the WrestleMania sign acts as some kind of defense barrier against that. Still find it a little bit odd that WWE doesn't think just having Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair is enough, and we need to all this gaga. But once more, we're here again. I know the match is going to be good, so I kind of don't care. Edge then made the worst decision ever. He went into Roman Reigns' locker room and essentially said, "Look, Roman, you have all the power, you have all the say, why don't you use it and stop Daniel Bryan being in our match?" I was like, Edge, have you not seen Star Wars? This is what the Emperor wanted. This is what the Emperor tried to do Luke Skywalker, and he had lightning coming out of his fingers. Do you really think this is a good idea? So you are crazy, Adam. You are absolutely crazy. This is not going to end well for you. I was then happy once more. I don't know who booked this, but it was Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. So I presume at WrestleMania, we're going to be doing the Dirty Dogs versus the Mysterios for the tag team titles. But you can't have a bad match when these two guys are in the ring. This tied into the story too, as we also saw Rey saying his one big goal in his career now is to win some kind of titles with his son, so that brought a tear to my eye. But it certainly didn't help him in the match, because he dove at Dolph Ziggler, who caught Rey Mysterio in the powerbomb position, and then just threw him over the barricade. I don't know why all of this stuff was making me laugh. It just looked so violent. And then continued to find all this humorous because when Dominic went to check on his dad, Dolph Ziggler just kicked him right in the face. And I was like, man, that's a metaphor for life right there. I also want to remind you that Rey Mysterio is somehow 46 years old and moves like he's 20-something. And of course, as always, WWE had to get in there with the nonsense. Because at one point when Rey was going for the 619, Robert Roode just got in the ring. And of course, he was chased out by Dominic. But how is that ever allowed? It didn't really help because Rey then went for another dive and got zigzagged instead, but once again we'd already made our minds up, so Ziggler eventually did get 619, he got hit with the splash, he got pinned for the 1, 2, 3, so again we've kind of justified how we're gonna do this at WrestleMania. But seriously, it's another match when you look at it and you go, well, how can that be anything but pretty damn good? It was then time to find out what we were gonna do with the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, and I will admit I found this a little anticlimactic, but only because I already knew what WWE was going to do. However, it was the right call. Everybody was out here as Adam Pearce didn't help anything by saying, well look, here's what I'm gonna do. Nobody's gonna fight multiple times at WrestleMania. However, I also feel like Daniel Bryan deserves a shot. And I hope that WWE officials remember this the next time somebody gets screwed over. We kept it simple though, because indeed Adam announced that it will now be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Edge versus Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. And you can just imagine Roman's and Edge's face during this. They essentially melted down. In fact, Roman Reigns was so mad, he started destroying chairs, which, as you know, is a big deal for him. And also a massive lie by me. It did trigger a massive brawl though, including Roman hitting Daniel Bryan with the Superman punch, and then we had this cool spot where he was going to smash him with a chair, but from nowhere Edge hit him with the spear. As we know now too, Edge is a crazy person, so he started to beat everybody up, and I mean literally everybody, and when officials tried to get him a stop, he started hitting them with chairs too. So yeah, Edge has definitely turned to the dark side, which means soon he is going to be going and doing all that kind of thing. And SmackDown ended with him sitting on a chair to mimic what Bryan had done and start SmackDown. So once again, all the builds to WrestleMania are just a little bit poor, and they're also kind of exactly the same, but I'm still excited for it, which is why it does get another free pass. However, something terrible has happened over the last couple of weeks when it comes to SmackDown, which is where the hell is Bayley and where the hell is Billie Kay? Bayley 100% needs a match at WrestleMania, and we should give Billie something because she's been so damn entertaining. And this is the problem with taking your tag team titles and taking your women's championship and merging them together, because you lose spots for other people. Now, we do have 2 weeks to rectify this, but because it made me worried, it has to get her down. I mean, come on. Bayley stands to reason. But we are only now a couple of weeks away from WrestleMania, and WWE has finally got their ass in gear. I do think it's going to be a good show, and this episode of SmackDown is getting up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com where you can read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on all social media. And while you are here already, why not watch another lovely little video? My name is Simon for WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. I'll see you on the next one.